In a vibrant world of entertainment, sports animation is no longer just a niche. It's a booming industry redefining storytelling. But in Nigeria, where sports have an almost sacred following, the question is, are we fully tapping into this potential goldmine?
Today we're driving into a world where imagination meets commerce. To set the stage, we asked some anime lovers what they feel about sports animation as a revenue stream.
Why do you really love games?
Because I have a lot of brothers. Yes.
So there is nothing attached to the love for animation. That's why you love playing Mortal Kombat?
No.
I think the fact that I can bring my friends over and beat everybody whenever I want to.
It's amazing, It is stress also.
Do you love comic books?
Yes, I do. Growing up, started with Super Strikers and the likes. So now we read the mangas, that's the comics about animes.
More of watching animations actually. But then when animation isn't available, I'd have to read comic book. And apart from that, I've read a couple others, like normal animations, English animations like Pilgrim's Progress or what's that? Super Strikers, yeah. Everybody likes Super Strikers from small, so.
I actually prefer the animation itself. But since most times, the manga is always ahead of the anime itself, so we have to go for the manga.
I'd love to see animations around basketball, and it's going to be like totally based on Kuroko no Basket. That is like a Japanese anime.
From these reactions, the question persists. Can Nigeria follow the trail blazed by Asia's anime industry? Let's take a closer look at what makes anime such a cultural and economic juggernaut. In Asia, and particularly in Japan, anime has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry. By 2023, its value reached an astonishing $24.8 billion US, fueled by domestic fans and a thriving international market. But this success wasn't accidental. It's the result of deliberate efforts, government support, with policies favoring creative industries, cultural identities, with stories deeply rooted in tradition and innovation, tech integration, bridging traditional storytelling with cutting-edge visuals. Anime's impact transcends entertainment. It shapes fashion, tourism, and even education. Events like the Tokyo Anime Fair draws millions of visitors, generating revenue through merchandise, licensing, and media rights. Now imagine the possibilities if Nigeria, with her rich sports heritage, took a page from Asia's playbook. Imagine a world where the exploits of Nigerian icons like J.J. Okocha or Anthony Joshua were reimagined in stunning animations. Imagine their stories told in a way that captivates not just local audiences, but also inspires global fans.
This is Precious, a young Nigerian designer blending his love for storytelling and gaming. Precious integrates some familiar Lagos identities into his storytelling and animation work, blending characters that are very deeply personal yet universally appealing.
So it all started with drawing. I really love drawing, and when I was a kid, I couldn't afford comic books. So I love comics, I love drawing, painting, and stuff. But I couldn't afford comic books, so I would just borrow someone's comic book, and I'll actually take the comic book and I'll draw it. I'll draw every single page, write every dialogue on my own. It's like I'm making a photocopy of that comic book. In 2015, I discovered that I can make games. Games is not something that is impossible or out of reach for me. It's something I can actually do. There are resources out there with platforms like YouTube where you can learn without actually going to any financial institution or any school. Yeah, I'm a self-taught game developer. So I started watching videos online, reading books regarding game design, animations, anything relating to 3D. I was just watching videos and all. So this is one of our games titled Adventurers Mobile.
From digital platforms to hard copy magazines, the opportunities in sports animation are vast. Streaming services, advertising deals, merchandise, and video game adaptations form a web of potential revenue stream. Richard Obo, a creative designer, breaks it down further.
It's a very huge industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and something that is big. The other types of games as well. There's Pro Evolution Soccer. I'm sure many fans out there will know about that. But like in PS, it's a very popular game. Has been around for a very, very, very long time. And then in terms of franchising, merchandising, so you can also use a digital version of a real-life person. It's just an extension. And the benefits that you have is such that with a real-life person, obviously, they are limited in physical space and time where they can be at every given moment. But with a digital version of the person, you can have as many of that person as you want.
The numbers tell a compelling story. Nigeria's creative industry have been able to contribute 1.4% to the country's GDP. With sports animation, the stakes could be much higher.
If Nigeria captures 10% of Africa's estimated $4.8 billion animation market by 2026, it could inject $480 million into the economy. Think of the job this could create in animation studios, tech development, and distribution networks.
In terms of capturing about 10%, that's based on how things are in the industry right now, which is still not described as fledgling. 10% of the African market is probably going to take maybe in the next 2-3 years, or maybe even, let's just say, to be fair, just say about next 5 years. So if the government is going to look at sports animation, they actually have to look at the entire animation industry and its value chain. If the government is going to look at or consider sports animation as a subset of the animation industry, they also have to look at sports itself in terms of at the professional league level and also the events, sports events management. So these are actually the things that the government needs to look at for them to get involved in sports animation.
Africa is already buzzing with artistic and tech-driven innovation. From the legend of Orishas to emerging animation startups, the seed for a creative revolution are already planted. But here's the truth. Potential needs a push. With the right policies, investments and partnerships, Nigeria could set the standard for sports animation on the continent.
We have a lot of people, a lot of African athletes that have stories to tell as well. So maybe as well, like using animation to tell their stories as well, and like get your favorite soccer player or your favorite hockey player or cricket player or rugby player, and tell their story through animation, and that'll be more attractive to people. So yeah, I think 980 is the first step into this.
Sport can leverage on animation. With the rise of new technology like ARO, augmented reality, and virtual reality being integrated into sport, these stuff, we can integrate them into African sport as well. Technology has made things a lot more easier. It has made even sport easier.
We need to have a system whereby there are schools, education centers, where people can acquire skills, the core skills, and then learn them. And then it's not just to learn the skills. Then there needs to be some mentoring phase where people now work with people who are professionals in the industry, in our own local industry, and then there'll be sharing of knowledge, and then gain from experience, networking, interactions, and then from there the knowledge will flow and people will begin to discover these ways of how they will make money.
This is more than just an untapped revenue stream. It's a call to action. Nigerian creators, entrepreneurs and policymakers have an opportunity to pioneer a new chapter in storytelling, one where sport legends leap off pages and screens to inspire the world. Onyinyechi Obaro for News Central.